Alright, we gotta do a little audio inception here to make sure my levels are right. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. See, it sounds like I'm not getting any sound. Alright, we gotta do a little audio inception here to make sure my levels are right. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Oh, holy crap, the delay is so long. I'm just gonna take it that it's ready because that delay was ridiculous. It's open in Blender. Okay, we'll skip that one. I just tried to upload a video to YouTube, and it didn't work so well. Blender and I are having fun times. Fun times. If you're following me on Twitch, you can follow me on YouTube as well. If you're following me on YouTube, you can follow me on Twitch. I know you probably have both of those things, so you should do that. The real question is, how are we gonna do this today? So, like, the plan today is we're gonna discuss setting up a political party. If you've never attempted to set up a political party, it's not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, I don't know why. I was almost like, well, maybe it should be harder, but then I was like, that makes no sense. Why would you want to make a political party hard to start? Oh, because you have a two-party system and you want to keep it that way so you can keep all these old men in power? Yeah, that seems fair. True story. Fair. So we're gonna put in a window capture. That's not what I wanted to do. I want to do that. And I'm gonna window capture my Google. We're gonna Google some stuff. That's what we're gonna do. There we go. Yeah, skeet skeet. Alright, so here we go. And look, hey, look, it worked. It didn't have that cool transitional thing that it did in the other layout, but oh well. Que sera. Maybe we'll work on that. But the other layout looks so, I don't know, I want to say girly, but that seems a little sexist. Just because it was pink. Okay, so how to start a political party. Forming a new national or state political organization, new party organizations must register with the FEC when they raise or spend money over certain thresholds in connection with the federal election. So technically I could create a party and then just not raise money, and then I'd never have to register it. I mean, I think a political party is really just a group of like-minded individuals that get together and try to work towards a cause. I think the cause that we need to work towards is reducing the government spending. And I don't mean like government spending as in like programs and like helpful things where that money's coming back to the people. I mean government spending. Like, did you know that we spent 23% of our GDP, like our gross domestic product, on keeping our government running? And I'm not talking about like salaries for senators. I'm talking about like janitorial staff, building rentals, administrative staff, electricity, power, water, you know, all the things that businesses have to stay running. But we as the taxpayers are paying for that. And we have state, like, maybe I should think, like, I live in a teeny tiny small town in Virginia, and we have a town hall. Like, so we have a building there that we have to keep up, and a police station, and a firehouse, and all that we have to keep up. It's this extra building situation. Like the land, I bet if we sold the land that all of our capitals and buildings and stuff are to something else, we could make back this deficit we just got from coronavirus. Just saying. But like I'm back to the town hall situation. We have one of those in my little town. Like my graduating class was 60 people. I mean, I live in a tiny, tiny town, but we still have a town hall. Like there's still a building that exists for us. I don't know why they don't just put it at the police station, but whatevs. There's you could cut back like all the administrative aides. Like to even look up, see what's got. How much? Let's see how much money do we spend on? Oops. Good thing Google would autocorrect that for me. Spend on government upkeep. Ooh, the federal budget 101. Good times. Mm-hmm. This is 2015. Mandatory and discretionary spending. The U.S. Treasury divides all federal spending into three groups: mandatory spending, discretionary spending, and interest on debt. Mandatory and discretionary spending count for more than 90% of all federal spending and pay for the government services and programs on which we rely. Interest on debt, which amounts to a smaller amount than the other two categories, is the interest the government pays on its accumulated debt, minus the interest income received by the government for assets it owns. The pie chart shows the federal spending in 2015 broke into three categories. It takes me to a mandatory spending rate. Mandatory spending rate is the spent based on existing laws rather than a budgeting process. For instance, spending on Social Security is based on eligibility rules for that program. Mandatory spending is not part of the annual appropriations process. Discretionary spending refers to a portion of the budget that is decided by Congress through the annual appropriations process each year. These spending levels are set each year by Congress. The pie chart shows how Congress allocated $1.11 trillion in discretionary spending in the fiscal year of 2015. I mean, Jesus Christ, the military. Like, I love some military folk, but that's a lot of money we spent on the military. Like, more than half of the total discretionary budget. That seems inappropriate. I mean, veterans benefits are the same thing. Like, if we reduce the spending of this will eventually go down over time, too. Because we'll have less veterans. I want, like, food and agriculture. I wonder what... I mean, that's still 13.3 billion. Every one of these is, like, a huge sum. Like, that's $40 billion they spent on the energy and environment. Housing and community, $63 billion. That's still less money than Veterans Affairs. Medicare and health, it should probably be way more. Like half of this budget should be this. That's probably what I would do. I would half this, bloop, and then put it into healthcare, and then find out where the rest of this goes. Because you gotta, I mean, the benefits are benefits. I'm surprised that's in a discretionary spending account. Like that feels like that ought to be in like the mandatory spending account because those veterans have earned those benefits. Like they signed up to do that, so I don't understand why we would put that in a discretionary thing. So I mean, like at some point, could they just decide not to pay veterans benefits? That's discretionary spending. That seems special. Mandatory spending: Social Security, unemployment, and labor. That seems like so much. And then Medicare and health. There's more what's how is there? That makes no sense to me. There's a veterans benefits in both sections that's like collectively $200 billion. That's like this whole military spending thing we've been doing forever is really what's digging us into a hole. I mean, I know we have to have a military, but I have friends in the military. There is ways to make the dollars go further. I think their budget is too big and they have too much free money to be spending around. I think we could reduce the spending on military and not really reduce the effectiveness of our military if we were just smarter about how we spent the money. Is how I really feel about that. Is this echoey? I just realized that I have both sets of microphones on. Much free money to be spending around. I think we could reduce the spending on military and not really reduce the effectiveness of our military if we were just smarter about it. Okay, guess not. Oh, the mandatories, all federal spending. Like there's the big budget. Well, that doesn't look so bad once you put it together with all of it. So it's still 15% of our total budget's military, but it's 6.9. I mean, that's $609.3 billion. Like the amount of money that we're throwing around in this place is out of control. Medicare and health, I expected that to be higher, quite frankly. But I feel like for as much money as we spend on that, we're not getting the benefits from it. Science overall, I feel like that should go up. Energy environment should definitely go up. We only spent 1 point, like, that's 44 billion. Sounds like a lot, but it's not. I don't even know what housing and community is. Did I tell you what that is? Why do you click on it and it doesn't do anything? It just makes it longer. What's the point of that? Oh, obviously we're not spending money on the websites, like, clearly. And why is this 2015? Like, a bit outdated, do you think? I want to see what that is currently. Also, why isn't there, like, a budget from the United States government? Can I watch? Can I read the 2020 US budget? Thebalance.com. I mean, I feel like it has a picture of Trump right off the bat. I don't know how I feel about that. Don't know how I feel about that. And there's no fiscal year budget 2007 to today. I mean, we're at a $3.7 trillion deficit. That to me sounds a little out of control. We just learned about that $3.86 trillion in revenue from taxes paid by taxpayers, either through income or payroll taxes. Income taxes contribute 1.932 trillion, or 50% of total receipts. Social Security, Medicare, and other payroll taxes add. Corporate taxes supply. Wait, so corporate taxes supply 2.84 billion, 7%. Like our total, that's definitely wrong. Like I wonder how much of the income in our like how much of our GDP goes to corporations. That's where we need our money from, right there. Right there. Excise tax and tariffs contribute 141 billion dollars, or 4%. And then these are like investments for 2%. Estate taxes and other miscellaneous 1%. The estate taxes are pretty real. I'll go on record for that. But I mean, the estate tax is liable to be the only way we get all our money back from all these old bitches that are still in office. The government expects to spend $4.829 trillion in 2021. Almost 60% of that pays for mandated benefits such as Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Discretionary spending, which pays for everything else, will be $1.485 trillion. United States Congress appropriates the amount each year using President's budget as a starting point. Interest on the U.S. debt is estimated to be $378 billion. Interest on the approximate 23 trillion debt is the fastest growing federal expected to be doubled by 2028. I mean, like, who are we paying interest to? Like, who did we borrow the money from is the real question. I mean, considering we're no longer on the gold standard, like, it is weird that we have a debt in the first place. I would like to know who we owe money to. I wonder if that's a thing. Can we Google it? Who does the U.S. owe its debt? This is from the balance too. I wonder what the balance is like, and how is it always the top? Do we know anything about the balance, chat? Has everybody heard about the balance before? I've seen it twice now. It's the balance. The U.S. manages the U.S. debt through its Bureau of Public Debt. The debt falls into two categories: intragovernmental holdings and debt held by the public. Breaking down the national debt. The U.S. national debt was $28.1 trillion as of April 21st. Here's how it breaks down. Intra holdings is $28 trillion, and the rest of it's held by the public. The Treasury owes part of this debt to other financial agencies. In February of 2021, intergovernmental holdings totaled more than $6 trillion. Why would the government owe money to itself? Some agencies, like the Social Security Trust Fund, take in more revenue from taxes than they need. Rather than stick this cash under the giant mattress, these agencies invest it in U.S. Treasuries. The transfers of the agency's excess revenue to the general fund, where it's spent. They redeem the Treasury notes for funds as needed. The federal government then either raises taxes or issues more debt to raise the cash. So it's held by individuals is 1.98 trillion. Mutual funds have 2.58 trillion. Banking institutions have 1.05. Insurance companies? What is a monetary authority? State and local governments, foreign and international. That's a lot. 6.81. Eesh. And pension funds are up there. I'm not sure why it's listed, because that's 2.78 and that's 6.4. I mean, like, I see that it's bigger. I guess it's giving you a rate, how it's been growing and where it's been growing. I would like to know what a monetary authority is. In finance and economics, a monetary authority is the entity that manages a country's currency and money supply, often with the objective of controlling inflation, interest rates, real GDP, or unemployment rates. With its monetary tools, the monetary authorization is able to effectively influence the development of short-term interest rates. So it's like that's like the Fed that owns that there. The Federal Reserve. I don't know why they didn't just call it that, but I feel like that's what that is. It's the Federal Reserve. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong in the chat. Which agencies own the most treasuries? Social Security, by a long shot. The U.S. Treasury publishes this in a monthly Treasury statement. Here's the breakdown from February 2021. Social Security Trust, including the Federal Old Age and Survivors Insurance and Disability Insurance Trust Fund, Office of Personnel Management, Military Retirement Fund, Medicaid, Medicare, which includes the Federal Supply Medical Insurance Trust Fund, 3.4 billion. Cash on hand in federal government and operations, public debt. It doesn't have a financial reason to own Treasury notes, so why did it triple its holdings between 2007 and 2014? The Fed needed to fight the 2008 financial crisis. In 2008, it ramped up the open market operations by purchasing bank-owned mortgage-backed securities. In 2009, the Fed began adding U.S. Treasuries. By 2011, it owned 1.6 trillion, maxing out the 2.5 trillion in 2014. This quantitative easing stimulated the economy by keeping the interest rates low and infusing liquidity into the capital markets, giving businesses continued access to low-cost borrowing for operations and expenses. I still stand by that wasn't the right thing to do. We, at this point, maybe have too many businesses. I know, like, I play a lot of colony strategy simulation games on my channel, so if you haven't followed, make sure you do that, because you could see some of these. And, like, if you play Civilization, I know it's a video game, and it's not comparatively to real life, but I feel like you learn a lot of things from stuff like that. I feel like I should turn this down a little. So, yeah. I'm still too high. That's what she said. But we're back to this. The whole point of this stream was, I feel like if we as a community, like we the 20s, 30s, and 40s at this point, gosh, we're getting old. It's like the 40-year-olds, I guess, is my generation. It's probably starting time to step up and do something, and we're that generation that bridges the gap. We know how to use technology, but we also understand the values. Like, I love to grow things. I love to, be earthy and in touch with the earth. I love, I was really about to say I love people. And I feel like before 2020, I would have said that readily. But now that we've had a whole year where I got to see how assholey people were, like, it was just obvious. Like, if you didn't wear a mask, you were an asshole. Like, it was like a sign that just said, I'm an asshole. I don't care about anyone else around me enough to put a little piece of fabric on my face. That's what it said to me. And then you got to see how many people didn't do that, and you're like, wow, there really are that many people. And then the whole Trump situation, like, the fact that 74 million people voted for that man makes me concerned about where we are as a moral compass in America right now. I don't think we care about what our neighbors care about anymore. I don't think we care about each other as people anymore, and that's our real problem. We can look at a disease like coronavirus that it only killed 500,000 people, and climbing. It's still killing. I think it's up to like 600 something now. But if you look at cancer or heart disease or diabetes, or like there's more things that are killing Americans faster than coronavirus. I get it, but 500,000 people is 500,000 people. Like, you could have saved 500,000 lives, perhaps, if you had just worn a mask. Like, and it's just such an inconsequential thing. Like, I get it, you forget a mask or whatever, but if I see you out in public, just walking around, not wearing a mask, I guess it's different now. I'm vaccinated, and will probably still have a mask, because people are gross. I have a bot in my screen. It's chatbot, I think. I think you can do dual. I was just looking at that. T-A-U-L. Oops, I can't spell. Dual? I don't know. I looked it up earlier, and I do have a chatbot. I guess I don't have Nightbot. Is Nightbot better? Should I install Nightbot? I know little of things about Nightbot. Sorry, friend. So yeah. I guess I feel like now I have to search for what Nightbot is. Nightbot? Okay, I'll do it later. Because it's probably not something I should be doing on stream anyway. But thanks for popping by. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow while you're here. I play lots of video games. I would love to start a political party. I would love to do this for a living. I think I care about enough people in the world. maybe some tough love situation. Like, there's probably a lot of snowflakes out there that need to be. Yep. Sorry. They have rights too. I have been called a snowflake. I'm probably more on the liberal side of things when it comes to like abortion and public works, and like I think we have to spend some money to make some money. I like the idea that Biden's spending money on the infrastructure. I like the idea that we're spending money on ourselves and building. Like we were talking about earlier, that if you play like colony building games, food, shelter, water is your survival tools, but then once you get beyond that, you still have to worry about the things like your taxes, your production rates, your employment rates, your interest rates, like all these things that you have control over that can really make or break your country. And sometimes you don't notice these little decisions that you make that can fuck up your country in 50 years. And you're like, yeah, we can just frack things and destroy mountaintops. It's going to be fine. And then you find out later, oh, wait, we needed all those trees and things that we tore down, burnt down, destroyed to give us air. So, yeah. Climate change is a big deal. If I were to, I don't know, become the all-powerful, authoritative dictator of America, I would probably focus on education first. I'm out of frame. You need to keep your populace educated. Like we need to bring the bottom rung up. It's not like I keep hearing people talk about like, oh, they're making this money, nobody wants to go to work, nobody wants to do this kind of thing. And I think we're getting to a place in the world. We're not there yet. We still need you to go to work, thanks. But robots and automation are taking over, and I think coronavirus moved that step forward a great deal with like all the online orderings and all the pickups and things. Like I love grocery pickup. Definitely would have been a setup, something I did before going to like before coronavirus, because this going into a store is already ridiculous. You gotta wait behind people, you gotta dodge around people, you gotta reach for things, you're just in people's space. I definitely think that's great. That's been a wonderful situation. But like things like that, like I'm sure they don't need nearly as many people. Like if you went to Walmart and they just went strictly to an online order only, like you could just go to their website. You could sit in your car on the website and just scroll through what you wanted to buy, send it, and they'd be like, all right, 15 minutes, it'll be there, done. Or you could order ahead of time to reduce the labor cost. But either way, you would know what kind of customer flow you're gonna have, and you have a limit to that. Like that person is sitting in their little steel climate-controlled bubble in the parking lot instead of standing in line waiting for something, which is a whole other issue in ballgame in itself, because you got America that's getting fatter and fatter and fatter, and it's because of fast food. It's because of the culture that we've built. Like I used to be a server, and I really believe that restaurants are totally bad for the world. They encourage you to be entitled. They encourage you to like treat that little person as a slave for the hour. Like you feel like you need them to bring you something. I saw a meme right after things started reopening on coronavirus. That this girl went to a restaurant and she's like, we haven't had a restaurant in like 6 months, and my girlfriend can only eat her quesadilla if she has ranch, and our server has been like 40 minutes without getting their ranch. And I'm like, first world problems, honey. You are enjoying this fine dinner out that you couldn't have 6 months ago, but all you can do is bitch about your ranch? I mean, if really ranch is most important to you, you could have bought a bottle at the store and brought it in with you if you really had to have that ranch. That would have been like the biggest server insult to me as a server. If I had gone back to my table and seen that they had pulled out their own bottle of ranch after asking for some and then I forgot to bring it, I would feel horrible. I'd be like, oh my god, I forgot your ranch. I'm glad you had some, though. It would be an experience. I'm sure it's happened. I'm quite sure it's happened. I mean, like my mama carries sugar packets, so she likes Splenda. I get it. So yeah, things and stuff. So education. That's definitely, like, first and foremost. And I'd probably include college up to that at this point. It'd be like, okay, if you already did the college thing and you already signed up stuff and you made some bad choices, sorry, friends, I can't just give you free education. Unless I give it to everybody. And I don't think we can afford that. I will, however, start making public colleges. Like maybe I'll find some colleges that exist, maybe that are in like poor financial straits, and I will be like, hey, you're a public college now, and here's some money to keep you running, and people are gonna start showing up. Okay, thanks, bye. That's, I mean, all this business where it's like you got to go through college admissions and get accepted. You got to have the best colleges for whatever. Why is college not all the same thing? That's another income block. Like they've got people that low income, like myself, that came from families of low income. Like even if I had gotten accepted into Harvard, I would not have been able to pay for that. And then what's really the difference? Like, why am I getting a better education at Harvard for more money versus the community college for less money? That makes no sense to me at all. Like, we're supposed to be trying to raise the bottom rung. We're in a world that's way too high, but need to raise the bottom rung. So, and then probably, I hate to say this, but I would love to spend money on space travel, but probably can't. I guess we'll just have to leave that to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. They can spend their billions and billions of dollars, and then I'll just appropriate it as a government. Be like, oh, wow, you guys did all this research, and you've put like a space station and stuff in the orbit and junk? Awesome, thanks, that's ours now. We're going to call that eminent domain. The government has decided to expand its government infrastructure to space, or we're going to take your space station. Okay, thanks, bye! That's probably what would happen. And then maybe we could get some of that money back that we have been spending on these corporate subsidies. Have we looked at that lately? How much money does the U.S. government pay to corporations? There we go. So glad it has spell check. I'm so glad it has spell check. These revenues come from three major sources. That's money. That's not what I'm asking for. Corporate shares of federal tax revenue has dropped by 2/3 in 60 years, from 32% to 10%. General Electric, Boeing, Verizon, and 23 profitable Fortune 500 paid no federal income taxes from 2008 to 2012. That's 4 years. Who was in office in 2008 to 2012? That was 2008 was Barack's first term. So obviously we can't blame him for that. I hear people in the background now. Like, well, you just looked up an answer didn't like. But if you think of the Carthusian cycle, like the United States is a big ship to turn. We're not going to be one of those ships that you can just be like, okay, it's cool, like make a decision and then it changes next week. It's like the next 4 years of economic policy that we're in right now are Trump. So when you start bitching and moaning about how bad things are getting right now, that's because of Trump. And the next 4 years will be because of Biden. So just like this situation, like he inherited this bad situation. And so we're going to go 2004 to 2008. Because why can't I remember? I guess it was Bush, right? Yeah, George W. And statistically speaking, every time you have a Republican president, the next 4 years is a recession. Like every time in the last 50 years we've had a Republican president, then the following 4 years was a recession. Even George W., because he had two, and the second 4 years was recession. That's why his second term was like garbage fire. But the first one was like, oh, that's not so bad. He's doing kind of okay, except for like the Katrina thing. But then his policies started to take an effect, and you're like, oh, just kidding. You're dumb, W. So, yeah, if we were taking votes for worst president ever, I would probably still pick Ford. But George W. is close. Don't forget about Ford. He was crazy. He was crazy. But yeah. Yeah. That was definitely something that George W. did. Be like, oh, hey, y'all don't got to pay no taxes for this next 4 years. Have fun. Make sure to trickle it down. Pay all your employees really well and treat them nice. I'm sure he didn't even say that. He said, y'all ain't got no taxes. Drink up, bitches. It's W. He didn't care. The 288 big and profitable Fortune 500 countries paid an average effective federal tax rate of 19%. I wonder why it's picking this particular year. Do we just not have the access for this? Profitable corporations in the U.S. income adjusting to 12.6 of the worldwide income. U.S. corporations dodge $90 billion a year in income taxes by shifting profits to subsidiaries, often no more than post office boxes in tax havens. Corporations officially hold $2.1 trillion in profits of offshore. See, there's a tax I'd like to see. If you transfer your money out of this country, we're taxing it. You transfer it back in, we're taxing it. Leave your money in this country or tax it. Thank you. Thank you. Next, please. The top statutory tax rate of 35% in the United States is somewhat higher than the 30 of other OECD countries. But the average effective rate and actual rate paid after deductions and credits is slightly lower than our competitors, according to the Congressional Research Service. Well, I'll have to look up at one point or another. Let me just open that in a new tab. Several studies have found that U.S. corporations pay a similar or lower effective tax rate, the rate actually paid, than corporations in other countries. For example, your average effective rate is 27.1 compared to 27.7 for other 30 ECO countries. According to CBS, profitable corporations paid income taxes amounting to 12.6 of worldwide income in 2010, according to the government ability. These are such outdated. Treasury Data tab. I like that. .gov. Even better. We finally found it. This was the website we've been looking for. The federal government revenue equates to about $108,000 of revenue per second. 3.42 trillion is the same amount as 65 million individuals, reaching $52,580 per year. 3.42 trillion equates to every household contributing $2,200 per month. The 3-bedroom apartment in West Palm Beach, Florida, is only $2,200 a month. I disagree with that. Let me Google that real quick. Oh, it's luxury resort living. It's not even listed. They don't tell you. That's how you know it's too expensive. 20 votes for what? If I want to get on the debate stage as a political party, you have to have at least 5% of the popular vote to get on the debate stage. But I'm thinking if we really want to start a political party, the easiest way to do that would be just to get enough followers and subscribers to like, hey, it's election day, everybody go, write me in. That's the only way. Because we already looked up earlier, I don't know if you missed this part earlier, but you have to have money to even start a political campaign, and that's not the objective. I feel like if we're poor people, we should not be spending money to put these rich people in power. Like, every time somebody asked me for a donation in 2020 for some political whatever, I looked at them like, y'all make more money than I do. Why in the world would I give you money when you make more money than I do? Like, your book deals should pay for it. Your sponsorships should pay for it. All these corporate subsidies are what you're getting to paid for it. Like, I'll tell you what, I would get rid of some lobbyists too, because lobbyists are the devil. Okay, so maybe they're right, because there's one that's 1 to 3 beds, so 2,400. So it's really close. They were close. So I mean, they were close, but you know, inflation, it's gonna get us. $3.42 trillion equates to the revenue of 16 top companies if they're paying their tax. Oh, that's the whole revenue, so it's not about their taxes. The federal government revenue equates to. Oh, we already did that one. Okay. I forgot what we were looking for on this one. Sidetracked. Sidetracked. In 2020, the federal government spent $6.5 trillion. Wow. When you look at the government spending situation, that went from less than 5 trillion to almost 7. Wow. Spent 3.13 trillion more than it's collected. That's crazy. I mean, I get it. It was pandemic. We had to. But now we have to make that back. Like, somebody needs to get this in the black to at least where we're making a profit, so we're not looking at like 2028 where we've quadrupled our deficit. Like, I get a deficit has to exist to have a country, but ours is getting a little out of control. If we're like, it's their fastest growing is the paying interest on our debt. That's no. I mean, if you were running your own finances and you were running so much debt that you started getting more interest, like that your interest rates were more than your tax revenue, I think you'd have a problem there, friend. You'd be on the street in a week. Especially if you're American. You can't afford to go from paycheck to paycheck. If you start spending more money than you're putting out, or start putting out more money than you're spending, or you know what I'm saying. Oh. In 2020, the government spent $6.5 trillion. $1 billion. Why is it? How does federal spending compare to federal revenue in the size of the economy? That's not what I wanted to know. I love how I go to spending and GDP, and this is the website we get. Like what? It's categories. Okay, so there's just more buttons to click. I was like, that can't be all the website. In this section, you can explore federal spending either by category or by agency. Curious to find out more? Dive deeper and see spending details by subcategory and other options. While income security is the top, we spent $1.3 trillion, 19%. And in the subcategory, that went to unemployment, other income security, which they still have, like, what is income security? Federal employment, retirement, and disability. See, that's food and nutrition assistance. That's like SNAP. Housing assistance. That probably had to happen because of like the corona situation. Retirement and disability insurance. So we spent $4.76 billion on unemployment compensation in 2020. I wonder how much that was in 2019. Unemployment. Hey, look, somebody asked that question already. Department. Oh, in brief. In brief is how many? It's 52 pages in brief. Like, come on. Let's see what we got here. A budget summary is probably on page 1. The American workforce is the greatest in the world. DOL fosters, promotes, and develops the welfare of wage earners, job seekers, and retirees. United States by helping improve the working conditions, advancing operations and profitable employment, and ensuring work-related benefits and rights. Again, I was hoping for like an overview so I could see what the budget was. Oh, that's on page 5, it says. It's probably still not an amount. Is there an amount? Is there an amount? In billions. So 2 billion is what they requested in 2019, and 3 billion is what they requested in 18. That's 476 billion. Oh, good God. That was quite an increase. It was quite an increase. I don't know. Do we disagree with the unemployment situation? Like, do people feel that they did the wrong thing with that? I mean, I feel like if they hadn't done it, we'd have people starving in the street, and I liable to be one of them. Hmm. So, yeah. We spend too much money. What does the government buy? Buildings. Why does the government buy livestock to research? Oh, sure. Education and training. These purchases are classified by object classes, the classification system that describes the type of goods and services purchased by the government. Hmm. What was this? Income security. I don't know what this other income security that went like nuts. Like unemployment compensation. There was the same answer there. How nuts that went. And then you got to wonder if next year it's going to be back down to the same level of unemployment compensation. But we still spent $31.4 billion last year and then went up to $476 billion. So, I mean, like, that was an incredible amount. Like, Jesus. That hurts my feelings. But I still am not sure what they mean by other income security. I love this music in the background. I swear it sounds like a soda popping. I keep hearing it. There it is. I like it. Other important income security programs include special supplemental nutrition programs for women, infants, so it's WIC, school lunch, school breakfast, and other child nutrition programs, refugee assistance, and low-income home energy assistance. Well, I guess that makes sense why that would be a thing. Advocates of cutting corporate tax rates frequently make their argument based on higher statutory rate in the United States as compared to the rest of the world. They argue that cutting corporate tax rates would induce large investment flows into the United States, which would create jobs or expand the taxable income base enough to raise revenue. President Barack Obama has supported the rate cut if the revenue loss can be offset with corporate base broadening. Others have urged, on one hand, a revenue-raising reform, and on the other, setting deficit concerns aside. In the U.S. tax rate higher than the rest of the world, and what does the difference imply for tax policy? The answer depends in part on which tax rates are being compared. Although the U.S. statutory tax rate is higher, the average effective rate at the same time, marginal rate of on profit shifting. Effectiveness rates are more relevant for firms' investment levels. The 13.7% point differential in statutory rates, a 39.2 rate of the United States corporate with 25.5 in other countries, narrows to about 9% points when tax rates in the rest of the world are weighted to reflect the size of countries' economics. Regardless of tax differentials, could a U.S. could a U.S. rate cut lead to significant economic gains and revenue feedbacks? Because of the factors the constrain capital flows, estimates for rate recovery from 35 to 25 suggest the modest positive effects on wages and output. I'll tell you, these people are definitely. Is that? It can't be. The Baltic Cup flag flying high over Gearforth Town Hall. I'm not even sure what that means, friend. If you would like to elaborate. Am I looking at something that I don't see? We are analyzing the government spending rates, and then I just went to look at the corporate tax cuts because I really feel like that's where our money ought to come from. And they're making the argument that we are like on par with like a tax rate of the rest of the world. And I might beg to differ that we have a little bit of a different culture. I bet we have more corporations in America than there are the rest of the world combined, but I don't know that. I wonder if there's an answer for that. How many corp? Oh, look, that's like the second question. I think that was the answer right there. There are 1 million traditional C corporations compared to 7.4 million partnerships and S corporations and 23 million sole partnerships. All probably get tax breaks. Walmart, Amazon, Apple, CVS, Exxon, United Healthcare. I don't know who Berkshire and Hathaway is. The McKinsey Corporation. This is a conglomerate holding company headquartered in Nebraska. The company wholly owns Geico, Duracell, Dairy Queen, BNSF, Fruit of the Loom, Halsberg's Diamond, Long and Foster, Pampered Chef, Forest River, NetJets, Pilot Flying. They have Kraft Heinz, American Express, Coca-Cola, Bank of America, Apple. How is that? Like, they own a little bit of everything. Good grief. Berkshire and Hathaway. At least they've diversified their interests. But this is my whole point. Like, we have some issues. You look at revenue growth. All these corporations, like most of these are green. Most of these are green. Dow Chemical broke even? That's surprising. Fox Corporation broke even. Our big losses, DuPont 75%. That's rough. And this one's another conglomerate. Oh, they own hotels in City and Pep Boys. Trump. Hard Rock Hotel. I mean, they still made $1.128 billion. Sorry, $16 billion. Like, their assets have dropped. What was that? Is that even what we were looking at? I thought it was revenue growth. Rite Aid's bad. GameStop. Poor GameStop. They had a moment. They had a moment when everybody was like, yes, GameStop, yes. Boeing. Honeywell. I'm just thinking, like, U.S. Steel? I thought Trump was supposed to be doing shit for them. ExxonMobil went down. Oh, God. Heaven forbid. I wonder what the ranking systems are. Like, how are they ranked? Below are the 500 largest companies by revenue in 2020. So I guess it's by revenue. So Walmart's making more money than Amazon? That's disturbing. But Amazon growing more. Like, who grew most? Ooh. Alright. Health insurance. Gee. Imagine that. That's why we can't go to, like, universal health care, because that $160 million would go somewhere else. They wouldn't get the tax revenue off of it. But I bet they don't pay that many taxes, because they're a Fortune 500 company and a big corporation, and they get the tax breaks. So it's really irrelevant to us. We're not getting the tax revenue, and they employ only 73,000 people. I mean, you're like, whatever, 73,000 people, but yeah, we could probably just have those people come work for us in the government and then pay them well and give them benefits. Oh, wait, because everybody had benefits, it wouldn't be a thing anymore. Anyway, United Natural Foods. Mountain People's Warehouse. Never heard of him. Alphabet Incorporated is actually Google. It was created through a restructuring of Google and became the parent company of Google and several former subsidiaries. Like, I know they broke it up because they thought it was a monopoly, but then now they just work for a subsidiary company. Like, how is that really monopoly protection? Bank, car company, Walgreens Boot Alliance. Like, who names these things? Verizon's up there. Sorry, I sneezed. Fannie Mae. Oh, Fannie Mae's still up there. I thought they put them out of business when we bailed them out of business in 2008, but I guess not. You think they ever paid that money back? I think we should go after, like, when we bail out these corporations and now they're making all this money. Why don't we just be like, hey, give us our money back? That's what they're all expecting us to do with that unemployment money. Oh, you gotta pay that back. Bullshit. We knew Home Depot went crazy up. GE went down. That's surprising. I guess because people couldn't pay their power bills. Boeing went down because people weren't traveling. Procter & Gamble. Facebook's $70 million a year. FedEx. I mean, there was still a whole lot of growth. To like see who grew the most. I'm sure it's Cigna. Food. I wonder why they went up so much. 100%. Developing lithograph is a method of printing originally based printing press, type selling. So they make paper? Or space race. And that's probably just because Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have been putting so much money into space. That makes sense. But that right there is ridiculous that a health insurance company is the top grossing revenue and growth. I guess not top grossing revenue, but it was up there at 160. Yeah, that puts it number 12. Yum, China. Oh, that they own Panda Express, I bet. Oh, it's KFC, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. Does that make me racist? I really thought the Yum Brands was Panda Express. What was I like? Was it this? All right, well, I guess I was going to keep this short and sweet. I'm going to do these more often because I really feel like we need to make a change. The world has gone to shit. The world is going to shit. And it's because the people that are in power do not care about the people that have been lifting them up all these years. The people that are like politicians lie to your face. They just want your money. They just want the vote. They just want the job security. My top three running things would be education, reducing government spending, and term limits. We need to put some term limits. Like, I realize there are 6 term limits already on senators. I really think there should be 2. Like, you're allowed to have 2 terms, just like you are for president. I don't understand why this. And I think that would solve a lot of our problems. Like, anybody who's already had more than 2 terms of office, GTFO. And we'll talk about it later. I guess if you want to take a 4-year hiatus, find something else to do, make some money with your own life, get your investments and your life right, and then come back, I might allow that too. But I think you need to take a break. Like, literally every 2 terms, you get 4 off at least, and you should probably just find something else to do with your life. You did your. I'm kind of thinking that like elected offices should kind of be like jury duty. Like, everybody should do a little bit. It should be one of those things. You should spend a couple years being an administrative official so you can see what the problems and challenges are and face them. One of the best things I've learned from working for corporations in my life is you listen to the opinions of those closest to the action. Like, if you want to find out how to fix it, you ask the people that are dealing with it every day. They can probably tell you how to fix it. But our government does not care what our opinions are. I mean, like, you see them all the time just being like, yeah, 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 absolutely. We will totally do that. We will totally work on that. And then they get in office and don't do it. You can look at their votes. You can look at their histories, their arguments, and it's all this party bullshit with the Republicans and Democrats are stopping each other from doing anything, so nobody can really get any change. Ultimately, the two-party system is the problem. So if we start a new party, we can just vote. I mean, like, I started to look about starting a new political party, and you have to have money, and you have to have funding, you have to have certain numbers, you have to have certain things on debates. Nobody watches debates anymore anyway. We have enough famous people in the world that we could make this happen. I mean, like, you look at Donald Trump, he was not, like, he's just a businessman. What made him qualified to be president? Nothing. But he was famous enough and was on YouTube, social media, and all this kind of stuff, had the money to spend to get it out there, that he got voted. Like, people knew who he is, and that's number one situation on becoming president is name recognition. It's the same thing for office anywhere. But if I'm going to start a national situation, that's how you get elected to be president, I suppose. So I got, 3 years? 2024? I got 3 years to build a following to get me at least noticed in the media, maybe? Like, you get people to see that there is this guy that's making a change, and I think it would grow. I think it would snowball if we get to the point where mainstream media is like, hey, these YouTube people are building a political party. That's crazy. They're not doing it by any of the traditional means. It's a whole new situation. And maybe they'll interview me or whatever, and then we can, like, really talk about it and really get it out there and really start making a move. But I need you to hit the follow button or the subscribe button, depending on which platform you're looking at. It does not cost you anything. All you'll do is get notifications of when I'm live, and you can come and give me your ideas and talk about things, and we can work it out, and we can make a plan. If I were to get elected to an official office, I would probably continue to do these live streams so that my constituency could speak to me and ask questions and tell me what they think. Like, I really feel like there's a disconnect from the constituency of the American public versus their ruling body. And we have the technology to bridge that gap. We're just not using it. So I thought we'd start doing that now. So please, like, subscribe, follow, and you'll see me on the next flip side. Bye, guys. If I can hit the right button. There we go. And transition!